King Street, King Street, King Street, King Street, King Street. Great day, King Street, King Street, King Street, King Street. Great day, King Street, King Street, King Street, King Street. Great day, King Street, King Street, King Street, King Street.
Here's something that's very important. What radio stations you listen to? Conscious Capitalist.
King Street, King Street, King Street. Great day, King Street, King Street, King Street.
Your fundamental principle. Have a higher purpose, orientation, conscious leadership, conscious culture.
Don't come to Baltimore City to invest. That wouldn't have been able to transform.
Great Tuesday listening audience, and welcome to King Street. I'm your host, King, and we're off to a great day. I'm feeling great, feeling full of energy. I hope everybody else is feeling that way as well. I know this has been a long year. I know it's a lot of reasons for folks to choose not to be great. But I can tell you this, that making that choice won't make you feel better. And remember that it is a choice, despite what you may have going on. I know that may sound a little difficult to believe, but my goal of this show is to help you see that light. So with that being said, I believe you got to have gratitude moments in how you feel and how you think and what you do. And so with that being said, my gratitude moment today is I'm grateful for my life, for my health, for my ability to see, hear, talk, walk, stand, breathe, and have a sound mind. I'm grateful for another 24 hours to pursue my purpose in life. I'm grateful for all the love and support from all my friends and family members. I'm grateful for another day to be on the WMEG show, or should I say WMEG radio, and on the King Street show. I'm grateful for just the infinite possibilities that this day may provide. So with that being said, how you feeling today, DJ Rock?
Full of joy, King, full of joy.
And what's your gratitude moment today, brother?
Man, my gratitude moment for the day is just family. I actually lost my aunt yesterday.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but be honest with you, King. The battle was over for her now, man. She can rest because she's actually been fighting for almost a year now. But I'm grateful for family because regardless of what my family goes through right now, this is the holiday season, and we definitely banding together. So I'm just grateful for family. My gratitude moment is for family.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Hey, so what you got planned for the holidays coming up here, man?
Sleep. Did I say that loud?
You say sleep. What you mean sleep?
Sleep. Because, man, you always got a brother on the grind. I need to rest my mind. I need my mind to be settled for a day or two. Wednesday I'm gonna be in Delaware at the cafe. Thursday morning I'm gonna be at my oldest son's house with him and his fiance just having breakfast, and then after that I'm just gonna kick back, man. My youngest daughter probably gonna hang out with her brother. My youngest son didn't come home, and my oldest daughter got a little boyfriend, so she probably gonna be running behind him.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, man, I'm gonna pretty much just chill and work on some things. To be honest, I don't really, celebrate Christmas in the context of commercialism and all that. I do celebrate the family getting together, so maybe to see my mom or something. But definitely, people ask me all the time, "Are you done with you prepared for Christmas?" Like, absolutely. I ain't going out here buying no gifts. I don't judge folks who do it, but for me, I don't get caught up in that rushing out here to buy gifts just because people say it's a certain time of the year.
So I'm not getting a Christmas gift?
No.
Oh, kill yourself. We're not friends no more.
Yeah, you ain't getting a Christmas gift, brother. And what I want to tell folks is on that vibe, what we want to do is get people, I think it's a great time for the spirit. I think this time of year is one of the best times to just catch people in a good spirit, because I don't know if they believe they're going to get gifts or they're giving gifts, or just the whole energy of this time of year is really great. And so with that being said, I made a donation to the We Are Us organization to, they buying 300 bikes for Baltimore City families. You know what I'm saying? They want to make sure their families get bikes. They're providing them food, and they're also providing toys. And so if anybody's interested in that, today, let me know. Reach out to the radio show. The number being 443-267-6558, because we want to help folks in this time who are in need. And that's where I'm at. I'm not looking to give gifts to folks who already got things and they just getting other things. I'd rather give gifts to folks who don't have much, and they'll appreciate it much better. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to build DJ Rock. I think we got our guest here that should be at the door out there.
Okay.
And you said we had to give a shout out to somebody, right?
Yes, man. I want to give a big shout out to a good friend of mine. Her name is Thais, man. She's a virgin to listen to the WMEG, and she's been rocking with us all day. So this is the first time she actually get to hit King Street. So shout out to Thais for rocking with her brother all day today.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue, Shanice, right? Thais, I'm sorry. Welcome to the King Street. First time listener. Hope you enjoy the show. Again, the purpose of King Street is not just rap about business. It's rap about real estate as well as all the other things that impact real estate and business we talk about. So we're going to talk about real estate, but if you're going to be what we like to say, a conscious investor, you have to understand the totality of what's involved with that investment. So if you're going to buy property, then what's the impact on the community? And what is the culture of that community? What are the mores of that community? Why is that property available? All those things play into your real estate investment decision, which is why we cover a variety of those topics on this show, so that you can understand that if you're going to invest in real estate, and particularly which we advocate, investing in real estate in Baltimore City, that you understand who the players are, the community leaders, what has been the history of this particular block. And again, we advocate buy the block because Baltimore City, it provides that kind of vehicle, that kind of mechanism where you can buy the block. And that's why we suggest buying blocks, because buying just one property in a lot of city blocks in Baltimore is just really a waste of your time and money, because it's going to be difficult for you to even get investment capital for it. So if you get past that hurdle, then you got to deal with the fact now you got to deal with getting past who's going to live there. If you're not going to live there, who wants to live on a block where it's 40 or 50% vacant blighted properties on that block? So you got to think that through. So when I'm advocating through King Street is to get people to understand that you want to understand how to cooperatively work with others to buy the block. And that's what the Conscious Real Estate Investor Roundtable is about, which is my organization that does the real estate investing. King Street is our media mechanism for getting this kind of information out there. But the organization that I run is the Conscious Real Estate Investors Roundtable. And our focus is buying the block. So we always talk about all the other economics, all the other social issues that may impact or affect your ability to generate a profit off that real estate. And so as we build that, I want you to understand that. So it's not going to be like any other real estate show you might listen to. We're not going to just talk numbers, acquisition prices, renovation prices, how much you can get for rent. Now, we will cover those things, but only in the context as it talks about making a change to Baltimore City and having that kind of mentality and that kind of higher purpose. So that's what the Conscious Real Estate Investor is about. That's what I represent as the chief value creator of the Conscious Real Estate Investors Roundtable. And then the show, being King Street, is going to bring you relevant information. We're going to highlight what I call heroes and sheroes that live here in Baltimore City, that's doing the work that keeps Baltimore City together. It's a very resilient city, and I bring different folks who are on the show who I believe are catalysts for upholding that kind of culture and those mores in that space. And so with that being said, today's show is going to be a special show because I'm going to invite a young man I've been building with for the last 5 years, and him and I really begin to engage in some transactions. And here's something else I want to tell folks too, and this is what I've learned. I got to give credit to Bill Gates on this. It's something I had to learn the hard way. He said that people often overestimate what they can do in 6 months and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And with that being said, is be patient. If you look through any kind of spiritual teachings and all that, patience is a virtue. You hear that patience is key. And I've learned that through trial and error, trying to get things done fast just doesn't work. Or if it does, it doesn't manifest. So I'm saying all that to say, as a young brother I'm going to bring on the show, as a gentleman I'm proud to have on the show that I think is a Baltimore hero, somebody I know who's been building in Baltimore City for some years. He's a Baltimorean, has a lot of pride in the city. And I just want to be able to let you all know that this kind of person, I should say, this kind of conscious mentality, this kind of conscious leadership exists in Baltimore City. And so I'm happy to have on the show the brother Dr. Jayfus Doswell. And I want to welcome him to the show first, and then I want to get him engaged in the conversation. I'm going to do this a little different this time. I normally just read people's bios first and then bring them on, but I want to bring him on first, get him talking a little bit, then I'm going to bring you his bio because I want you to understand why you should listen to him after you listen to what he said a little bit. So with all that being said, welcome to King Street, brother Dr. Doswell. How you feeling today?
Doing well, King. How you feeling?
Feeling great. Feeling great.
Good.
And can you pull the mic up so you can...
Okay. Like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how's the day going for you?
Oh, it's going well. Just busy grinding as an entrepreneur, but it's going well. No complaints, no excuses.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, how are you dealing with this break that we about to go to where everybody is pretty much shuts down and getting the holiday spirit? How are you going to be dealing with that, or how are you going to be utilizing that time?
Oh, we operate business as usual in Juxtopia. So we started in recession, and we've been growing. So even during COVID-19, we haven't been impacted, thank God, economically like that. And we've taken the time, this downtime, to really hunt, quote unquote, like a Comanche force, to get more contracts, grants, employ more individuals in Baltimore, and then help economically as we can through some of our networks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before I get into your bio, I just kind of want you to state, what is the name of your organization that you actually founded and that you do most of your work through?
So Juxtopia is the name of the organization. It's a for-profit biomedical and IT company that was established in 2002.
All right, that's what's up. So let me read his bio, listener audience. I wanted you all to hear from him first, and then when I read his bio, we can set the context of who this brother is and why it's important for us to listen to, and then more importantly, why it's important for us to build with him. So as you heard, Dr. Jayfus Doswell, Dr. Jayfus Tucker Doswell, he's Baltimore born and raised, is a high-tech entrepreneur and visionary futurist with a mission of improving human performance of population in underserved and disadvantaged communities. Dr. Doswell earned a Bachelor of Arts from Oberlin College with degrees in cognitive neuropsychology and computer science, a master's degree in systems and computer science from Howard University, and a PhD degree in information technology from George Mason University. His dissertation, defended in 2005, created the world's first culturally adaptive artificial intelligent AI virtual and structured software architecture to deliver personalized instruction to underserved populations in mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, and real-world environments. Now, this brother has a very deep, impressive bio that's really lengthy. I don't want to read all it to you because it's so impactful. I want to be able to pause at certain points and discuss certain aspects of it. So I don't want to give everybody too much right now. So I want to pause right here as a point and really digest some of the things I just said. So let's start off with, let's discuss, what is cognitive neuropsychology?
Oh, it's a good question. So cognitive science is cognitive science is a subset of psychology that deals with how human beings process information. We process information based on our senses: auditory, visual, tactile, and then sense of smell. And the way we process information and then make decisions is a part of cognitive science. Cognitive neuropsychology combines psychology and neuroscience. Psychology oftentimes deals with behavioral science, where neuroscience deals with the chemical properties within the 86 billion neurons that we have in our brains in order to determine how we think, behave, operate in life, how our organs function. So when you combine cognition with neuropsychology, it's understanding the biological basis of how humans make decisions based on what they perceive. And consequently, mixing that with computer science, while I was an undergraduate student at Oberlin College, I learned early on that when we create human-computer interfaces that humans interact with, that's all the theory behind that is cognitive science, how we process information in order to look at a website versus an augmented reality or virtual reality display. Eventually, and I could see it back then, we could eventually have brain-computer interfaces that to non-invasively look at the brain regions that are activating when we experience an environment or train with this type of mixed reality environment, and then learn, which is the hippocampus region of the brain, or emote feelings, which becomes part of the hypothalamus areas of the brain. And that's the reason why I majored in cognitive neuropsychology and computer science double major.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to point out, now, your bio states you defended your dissertation in 2005. And so explain to our listening audience who might not be aware of why a PhD candidate student would have to defend. Is that a normal process, or is that something they brought to you that you had to defend because yours was a little outside the box? Or kind of explain that process to our listening audience, please.
No, it's a normal process typically in a PhD program. So when you have an academic PhD program where you're going for most universities require you to defend. Some do not, but most universities require you to take all your classes in the first 2 years, or as many years as you think you need to take the classes. Then you go for what they call a comprehensive examination. So your professors and your advisors come up with a personalized test that only you get to test your knowledge of the previous years. And that body of knowledge that can show the PhD advisory committee that you have what it takes, if you will, to even go through the dissertation stage. And then you go through the dissertation stage, and oftentimes that's like a Spartan, or we can create, an African analogy to that, but I'll use Spartans for right now, since So you have someone going in the wilderness, killing the wolf, coming back out. That's your dissertation. Okay. You're gonna live and die alone, and no one else is gonna help you out. And then when you think you've done it, you go through a defense, which means that you schedule a meeting to present the dissertation to your advisors, and your advisors go at you, not your advisory committee, and many of you may be your friends, maybe not, maybe your allies, your foes, and they'll go in and ask you all kinds of questions. That's why they call it defense. You have to defend those questions from experts within the field, and if you can defend consistently to the, acceptability of the advisors, then you get through your PhD. If you don't, you fail, and then you have to go at it again. So it's almost like a fight, but it's an intellectual fight.
And you enjoy that process, right?
Well, I love fighting. So.
Hey, King.
Yes.
I need about 15 seconds, man.
Go ahead, brother.
All right. First things first. The brother walked in. He looked like he about 14. All right. So I said, okay, King got the youth coming on the show today.
Right.
And then I saw him take his mask off. I say, oh, we're going to talk to some of the gang guys that takes the walk with King on his walks during the week, right? And then his brother started talking, and you talking about dissertations and defending dissertations and PhD. Oh my God, brother! Hey, listen, I'm sorry. Never judge a book by its cover, and I did that today.
Oh, it's no problem. I'll try to keep it real. I'm from Baltimore, though, straight up.
Yeah, but you're inspiring, honestly, because you look like me.
Yeah,
and you got letters behind your name. Oh man, I'm about to be educated. I swear I am.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, King. I usually need to get that off my chest, King. I had to.
No, that's why I wanted to read his bio this way, because
Thank you, brother.
You see why it's so much to unpack that, just read into it as one just giant piece. I don't think people really get who he is. Right. And that's why I want to be able to break it down so folks can really understand who this brother really is. And as you said, this is the first time I've ever seen him dressed down too. Okay. He usually dressed, as they say, casual business, so that, as you talked about the gang look, all black, I feel him on that.
And that wasn't a insult or not. It was positive, because it goes to show that everybody wants to be so judgmental of us without knowing who we are.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it, brother.
I'm all about that, and straight Afrocentric as well.
Okay.
But I still, if I need to get down on the streets, King knows I'll go in.
I hear that also.
He'll probably ask me this question. Yeah, I got trained very, very well playing violin growing up. And I used to have to catch the bus from the west side to east side and back all the time. And so through that interchange
travels
at the Mondawmin Mall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my mother said, "Don't let anybody take your violin." So, a lot of stories with that.
Did you ever lose your violin?
Nope.
Ah!
Never lost a violin.
That's something and that's why I want to listen to the audience to really understand, because we're going to really tie this in a minute. And I want y'all to be patient listening to the audience of how this applies to real estate and business. But I really want you to understand that as we talk about developing or redeveloping our communities and transforming our communities, what we really mean when we talk about development and investing with a higher purpose. It's not just buying property, renovating property, and putting property with people in it. We got to get beyond that level of thinking, and you're going to see why we say that. And as you all tune into the show more, you're going to learn what we are about and how you can be a part of it. So going back to your dissertation, now you did your dissertation in a very curious to me area, because I could imagine that from a black perspective, now I'm putting on my black hat, that to create, I want to hear your origins of why you decided to create a personalized instruction to software architecture that creates virtual instructors. And I know that's for our population, but what I want to hear is from you. My question would be, what was the seed that sparked that in your mind to say, I need to create this, and I'm going to make this part of my dissertation as well?
That's an excellent question. So what sparked or became the motivation for the dissertation was that, and it still exists today, human beings that teach oftentimes use the word pedagogy. Pedagogy is the art and science of instruction, or the term andragogy would be used, which is the term of adult form of the art and science of adult instruction. Pedagogy for children, andragogy for adults. And you can imagine there can be instructional variability or pedagogical or andragogical variability when instructing populations of students, and then you can't really get a learning outcome. That's across the board with all human beings. Now when you get to culturally adaptive pedagogy, where you have black boys and girls getting educated in public schools, maybe from a lot of non-black instructors, and maybe black instructors who do not understand black culture, there's another variable of not culturally adaptive, or kind of like not empathetic or unempathetic type of cultural and pedagogical instruction towards teaching a black child, male or female. The critical ages for child development are really between ages 0 and 5. And that's when the brain is really, really developing, and it states at 5, then it atrophies after age 25. So getting the best instruction early as possible is so critical, especially for our culture that has to operate in the world of racism. So understanding how children develop, having a background of neuroscience and how the brain develops, and then understanding the inefficiencies within the school systems, public and private, and how the perceptions are about how black children really learn and what their values are and what the expectations. You have almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy from teacher to student. My hypothesis was that an artificial intelligent virtual instructor that can apply empirically researched pedagogical and andragogical techniques in a cultural manner that's both ethical and empathetic can better teach a human being than not an inefficient, not culturally adaptive / racist teacher in a public school system. So maybe that's a long-winded answer, but that's really what gave me the motivation.
So if I can sum it up this way, the current education system that has teachers who don't really connect with our culture, teaching our kids, in your mind, were not adequate enough. So you want to go back and tap into even some of our great ancestral spirits, and creating through virtual reality for them to be the educators of our children.
Right, artificial intelligence. So, for example, let's say you want to learn from Benjamin Banneker, a scientist here in Maryland, and noted as one of the very first black scientists who was born free. He was never enslaved.
Right.
So you get a holographic Benjamin Banneker teaching you, let's say, physics, or how to build a striking clock, which he did when he was alive, or electromechanical or mechanics, electronics mechanics, and then he's working with you or child to understand the concepts, the didactic theoretical learning, and then the psychomotor learning as well, while personalizing that learning directly to your learning style. So that's how the 399-page dissertation was developed to do that.
Absolutely. And see, that's a great pause. So we're going to get ready to walk into our first musical break, DJ Rock. But I just want everybody to really understand where we coming from and where this brother is coming from when we talk about, again, how we need to prepare our children to start thinking differently going into the next generation. Because we have lost a generation for the most part through not preparing our kids to be critical thinkers, not preparing our kids to really understand the importance of their history and how they relate to the identity of who they are as individuals. And we're going to build on that on when we come back on the second half. So DJ Rock, walk us to that, please.
And GoPros and stop the popos. They put Eric in the chokehold until it's foreclosed. They look like up in the street, should have seen the photos. So many self-serving loads, who the hell
I guess
wrote
we
those?
all resemble threats. Back then it was a noose around our necks. Now it's a mental noose from the few you choose to protect. And I picture we next. They rather see you up in bars, for they see you up in Forbes. They kill and get an applause instead of indictments. And I can't just blame it on the white men, cause if we don't give a fuck, then fuck, we acting just like them. But then again, we know that there's a few who join the force so they can serve their ego and do not serve the people. So they treat us like fecal matter, like we don't matter. They consider us just data, not humans, just fucking data. I pledge allegiance like them, so what's the difference? Is it my nappy hair? It's my pigment. Fuck am I missing? We was taught and conditioned that we ought to be prison. And although we was born in this country, there's a division. 4th grade officer friendly visited schools. Years later, they gunning down kids that I knew. And all my peers rapping about they Audemars and shoes. All you fucking niggas fools, they using us like tools to keep the sheeple amused. Just take a peek at my views. Black with a case of blues that ain't even making the news.
Who can I run to? Tell me who. Tell me who. Tell me who can I run to?
You have to remember that these are
How they gonna protect us when they don't need to respect us? Who can we run to? Tell me who. Tell me who.
they're angry and they're thirsty for knowledge.
How they gonna protect us when they don't need to respect us?
I'm here to negate the fact the only way a black can make their paper stack is making crack. Though I did that, let's take it back. Before oppressed people, we were blessed people. Then we came here and got treated like less equal, so we chose the less evil. Your religion, we adapted it. Waited on you hand-and-footed, still we got your ass to kiss. That type of passiveness will turn you to a masochist. My grandma used to clean up for this white, rich, lavish chick. Saving all her life, she 86 and still ain't half as rich. At the age of 6, made me imagine if, when I get grown, would I have to bore my dreams to clean a white lady's home? Make me ignore a life of my own? But these days, I know better. It ain't about the skin, it's about the hatred that you harboring within. You're not better than me, I'm not better than you. And when you take your last breath, they gonna bury you too. Act like you know.
Who can I run to? Tell me who. Tell me who. Tell me who can I run to? So tell me who.
How they gonna protect us when they don't need to respect
Who
us?
can we run to? Tell me who. Tell me who. Tell me who can we run to? Just tell me who.
How they gonna protect us when they don't need to respect us? man, as your queen, I want you to know that I see you. I feel you. I'm on your frequency. And although you don't frequently feel value, you are. You've been beaten, tortured, enslaved, and stripped of your manhood. You've been to hell and back, and yet you're still standing. Persecuted, executed, and broke down in every way. But somehow you continue to find a way to be strong, to be a provider, to be a lover. Hell, everyone wants to be you, because you're a king. And heavy crowns are painful. But God gives his hardest battles to his toughest warriors. Black man, I'm not your enemy. I'm your energy. When you tend to me and you enter me, remember, we are one. Until freedom, I will fight by your side. I know you hide your pain with your pride. You don't want pity, but you damn sure deserve a little mercy.
Until you walked in my shoes, you can never ever sing my blues. Oh, never sing my blues. And until you felt the pain of a broken man, you can never start to understand why I feel this way. Why I'm starting to lose my faith. Have a little mercy. Show a little mercy. Oh, give a little mercy. Just a little mercy. Oh, until we make a change. Everything that's wrong remains the same. Lord knows remains the same. And till love has its way, then and only then there'll be better days. There'll be better days. Have a little mercy. Have a little mercy. Show a little mercy. Give a little mercy. Just a little mercy. Oh, days like this, they say won't last for long. Don't won't last for long. Good man always finds a way to be strong. Days like this, they say won't last always. Have a little mercy. Yeah. Please have some mercy. Have a little mercy. Make it right.
The all-new WMEG Radio.
And we're back, listening audience. And we're back, listening audience. Welcome back to King Street. Again, I'm your host, King, and we're building with Dr. Doswell. But the first two songs I wanted to break down our musical artists. The first song was 3D who's been a feature artist, a young sister out of New Orleans, who DJ Rock, I promised that we're going to have on the show one day. But her song was called Who Can I Run To? So I definitely encourage everyone to look her up on YouTube. Again, 3D Natee, Natee is her name. And then the second song is Anthony Hamilton's new song, which is called Mercy. It's hot. He got the sister Mallory on there, and you should really check that song out. It's a very powerful video. It's really timely. So those were our two songs from our first musical break. But before we had our first musical break, we were really beginning to build with Dr. Doswell. He was explaining to us where he comes from and what his thinking was behind his dissertation. So now I'm going to read to you all. I'm going to continue to read his bio because we're going to get into his company, and then we're going to begin to break that down with him as well. So Dr. Doswell is the founder, president, and chief executive officer of Juxtopia, a privately held for-profit biomedical and information technology company with a mission for improving human performance. Prior to starting Juxtopia, Dr. Doswell led several commercial engineering teams at Fortune 500 companies ranging from Lockheed Martin and SAIC to KPMG as their senior software engineer. Also, Dr. Doswell contributed to early biomedical and nanotechnology informatics algorithms while working at the National Cancer Institute to help create better cancer treatment. Additionally, Dr. Doswell invented and successfully led Juxtopia to secure research and development funding for the development of Juxtopia's innovative wearable technology products for improving human health and learning. Now, I do want to pause right now to ask you to talk about, well, let me read this next sentence first before you do that. The Juxtopia augmented reality platform is one wearable technology platform from which various wearable AR products are created for improving human training, ranging from neurosurgery to public health response training. Also from this platform, Dr. Doswell led Juxtopia to secure an unprecedented first-of-its-kind contract to develop innovative learning technology to train all U.S. Army 68W medical personnel to improve their tactical combat casualty care skill proficiency. Now, again, I know that's a mouthful, so I want you to kind of unpack that. So let's talk about the wearable augmented reality. First, before we get there, let's talk about Juxtopia. Let's talk about the mission and vision of Juxtopia. Then we'll drill down to some of the products that you created.
All right. So Juxtopia is, like you said, King, a Baltimore born and raised biomedical and IT company. I think it was the very first black-owned biotech biomedical company in Baltimore. And the mission of Juxtopia is simply a trademark mission improving human performance. So the way we improve human performance today is with wearable computers. Wristbands. Our very first product was a wearable pregnancy monitor to non-invasively monitor the child, the unborn child, fetus, and also the mother outside of a hospital environment. And then we pivoted into augmented reality or virtual reality, even though we focus mostly on engineering and manufacturing our own custom augmented reality head-mounted displays, i.e. goggles, and even our own software. And that's how we improve human performance from, as you said, in a hospital environment, tumor resection, neurosurgery, or 68W, 68 whiskey, which is a military operational specialty for improving, those are like EMTs, kind of like paramedics in the Army that go, you've seen in the movies, that go into battle when everyone's running away from the fire. They'll go in there to try to save their comrade's life. And hence the platform is named after comrade, phonetically, context-aware mobile mixed reality assistive device.
Now, what, again, I want to use this word inspire quite a bit through our discussion because I'm curious, because I know for myself, my background is IT, and I definitely was the minority in my field. Because I got into IT back in the early 90s. As a matter of fact, I still remember Windows for Work groups and building from there before Windows 95 and so on and so forth. And I know, like I said, I was extreme minority in that space. So I know you had to be the minority in your space because now you're dealing with things from wearable technologies where I don't know any blacks that talked about that. To this day, other than you, I would say they don't exist. It just, that information doesn't get pretty much spread through our media. So my question for you, what was your inspiration from deciding that I have the ability, the education, the competence to create wearable technology that can benefit our community?
That's a great question. So I remember I was working in Bethesda at one of those companies, I think it was SCIC, as a contractor to the National Cancer Institute. And there was a young African-American guy, Brian Blake, who's now provost of one of these universities, Georgetown or American University, pledged Omega Psi Phi. And I remember he actually asked me a question. He said, Jay, I said, do you want to do a grant together called the Small Business Innovative Research Grant, called the STTR grant? Not sure, why not? So he said, well, the focus has to be on Executive Order 13329, White House Executive Order established February 24th, 2004 by George Bush Jr., and most of the proposals that will be reviewed by the United States government, if you have that in there, like manufacturing innovation, it will get preference. So we have to focus on some manufacturing aspect. Let's focus on automotive manufacturing. I said, well, give me the problem, and I'll come up with an innovative idea to actually get it solved. So the problem is automotive manufacturing companies have variability on the product line, like BMW. You can order, it'll go right on the line, not on the block, but right there on the line. Then you have human beings putting the car together in 60-second slots. One error costs $250,000 per error. No, $500,000 per error per car. So you can almost imagine how that adds up with human error per year. So I came with an hypothesis that wearable augmented reality with artificial intelligence software that can help a human being auto-identify that error and mitigate those errors on a fast-moving production line can save an automotive manufacturing company lots of money. And we submitted a NSF STTR Phase 1 and got it awarded the very first time. That was, that's before I even defended the PhD, we secured that award. So that started the lane of Juxtopia within the wearable augmented reality space, and then looking at all possible vertical markets on how this, at that time, very innovative combination of hardware and software and AI could really satisfy the Juxtopia mission of improving human performance for a real product that can satisfy, help ameliorate a problem and generate significant revenue from a large customer base.
Now, the name Juxtopia is a very interesting name, obviously, for a company. And can you explain where the name came from and why you decided to go with that particular name for your company?
I think like many, for me, I wanted something omnipotent, omnipresent, universal. Those names were taken up. Some of those names are hard to pronounce. So I remember writing the word juxtaposition and then writing the word utopia. Since utopic is kind of like how I try to do things within my life, intellectual, physical, and spiritual excellence. My favorite phrase is propensity for perfection. So the juxtaposition among utopias seemed natural, and consequently, that's the definition of Juxtopia. A juxtaposition among utopias. Utopias of mind, body, and spirit.
Now, one of the things that, and that's a, very interesting, what I love about talking to Dr. Doswell, he has an answer for most of the things I ask him. And a well thought through answer, because I'm a person that always likes to impact and get into the deep crux of why people create things. Yeah. And a lot of folks haven't really thought about why they came up with their names, right? Someone else told me that, right? But I love talking with you because you always have a much deeper and impactful answer that shows that you thought through that. And that, to me, that's definitely important. Now, I want to continue reading your bio because I want to go back to some questions about the augmented wearable reality that you've created and how they can impact. Because then we're going to shift, folks. That's why I'm asking listening audience to be patient, because we're going to bring this back to real estate and business and how this impacts what we're talking about building here in Baltimore City within the Conscious Community Initiative. So as I continue to read his bio, in the area of biomedical innovations, Dr. Doswell invented the Jextopia Imhotep platform for creating wearable telehealth products. Love Imhotep, that name, and put that name in there. So again, let me read that sentence. In the area of biomedical innovations, Dr. Doswell invented the Jextopia Imhotep platform for creating wearable telehealth products and led a 100% unrepresented minority high school and college youth team, Jextopia Engineers in Training, acronym being JET, to compete in the Jextopia Qualcomm Tricorder
X Prize.
Tricorder X Prize. Now, the Jextopia and Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize was an international competition to create the world's best non-invasive biomedical device for diagnosing an array of illness and diseases outside hospital environments. So that's kind of drilled down on that. So again, let's talk through this creative, this wearable telehealth products.
Right. So the word Jextopia Imhotep, Egyptologist, or comes from Egyptology. So Imhotep was noted as the very first architect, black architect, or very first architect and physician in the world. So Ivan van Sertima was an Egyptologist, wrote a book called Blacks in Science. I was very inspired by his writings and very inspired about Imhotep and what he contributed to ancient Egypt. And so it was natural then, my being African American and loving my culture and Afrocentricity, to name the product or platform Jextopia Imhotep and a G-Band. So we entered that, we being a Jextopia Group, my nonprofit organization, entered the Jextopia Imhotep platform into the Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize, and like you said, King, engaged and activated 100% underserved and disadvantaged minority youth called JETS, Jextopia Engineers in Training, to develop both the hardware prototype and also the software. Within the policy, a lot of things focus on a lot of innovations. Most innovations focus on solving the problem. So the problem here and the challenge was, what one device, like a tricorder, like Star Trek's tricorder, I think that was McCoy.
Yes.
Okay. Even though Elijah McCoy is named after an African-American inventor who had over 90 patents to his name in the 1800s before he died, before even the thought of Jim Crow law was eradicated. But nevertheless, so it was the Tricorder X Prize was funded by Qualcomm, so that's why it's called Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize. And the challenge it was to create one device that can non-invasively identify and diagnose a range of diseases. The hypothesis, the G-Band or Jextopia Imhotep hypothesis, is that if there is a disease that can be characterized by a set of biomarkers being chemical signatures that represent a disease uniquely, then if you can have a wearable device that can uniquely sense that disease and compare it against what's known, a physical, persistent, stored footprint of that biomarker, then you can have a device that can really diagnose any disease. Hence diabetes, kidney disease, COVID-19 biomarkers, hypertension, various cancers, cerebral blood flow, where we did early on non-invasive method of identifying oxygenated versus deoxygenated blood flow running through a fetal brain non-invasively, supercutaneously, without going inside the skin, no implant. And then that can be matched up against a database of the known disease. Then you can have one device that can image a number of diseases with one device.
Now, you and I have talked offline about how, anyways, we talk about real estate, this wearable technology could be utilized in this space as well. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, Well, are you, first of all, let me ask this question. You open to discussing that on the show?
Oh yeah, I'm filtering right now in my brain, in my 86 billion.
Okay.
So I don't say anything that's proprietary.
Okay, all right. So why don't you share with our listening audience how that wearable technology that can also be used, as currently you got the patent for medics to be able to use in the battlefield, and how they can be used in home construction currently here, as we relate that now back to real estate development in Baltimore City.
Absolutely. So as you know, King, in lower income residential homes in the communities throughout the United States, and very much in Baltimore, you know because we've spoken about this before, there is a whole lot of vacant and abandoned properties that need to be renovated, but oftentimes it's hard to find a great team to renovate the property at a cost that's affordable to the buyer or to the developer. And then, as a result, that property just lays vacant and abandoned for a very long time. That's the problem statement. The hypothesis is, if there is some kind of mechanism that can bring someone who wants to understand and apply a certain construction trade to a property at a certain skill level, and then get monitored remotely by a construction supervisor to ascertain the construction job is done accurately and within the designated period of time according to a project plan, then and without error or with reduced errors, to segue, an error is contributes to rework. Rework contributes to most of the additional construction cost. Then you would have an intervention that can decrease construction costs, decrease time, and potentially increase quality. So that's the hypothesis. Wearable augmented reality from Juxtopia has the potential of outfitting workers with intelligent eyewear so they can see through the glasses, get step-by-step instructions on how to perform the task, and additional information to improve their performance while decreasing the time worked on task, increasing the accuracy, increasing the quality, and making a renovated home affordable to the buyer.
Now, listen, audience, you really hear that, what we're talking about doing here. We're talking about the ability to have, for the layman's terms, creating goggles that you can now, a construction layman person can walk through a site and now be able to look through those goggles and see the building measurements. He'll be able to see code specifications or get real data uploaded to the goggles, correct? Mm-hmm. Which helps reduce the mistakes that a person may make, because now you can make sure you're grabbing the right size screw with the right size board, as far as now you're dealing with joists and things of that nature. So all that now reduces the amount of time someone can make, reduces the ability for someone to make a mistake, which can inevitably reduce the amount of time spent renovating, which also can reduce costs. So we're talking about disrupting the renovation or construction industry as we know it today. So again, all this is now coming out of Baltimore City. So that's why I say that we're talking about investing with higher purpose, totally transforming communities. But we got to first begin to get folks to understand mentally that you can't have a cap on your thoughts. As Common talks about in one of his songs, that there's no ceiling to my thoughts now. And that's how we want everybody to begin to think. So we're going to pick back up with Dr. Doswell as we come back from our second musical break in the second hour. So DJ Rock, please walk us into that.
Like Marcus, Garvey, I'm an artist with respect to the goddess. Some say I'm too modest because I'm the hardest on this path to progress. There's been carnage. Regardless, this is a harvest for the world to harness. Elders' dreams, creators' promise. Being free is like paying homage. I've been on that piece, Black Dalai Lama. My college was between Stony and Cottage. The knowledge, I got it because niggas was bout it. Knew I had to pull it, the bullet or the ballot. It's like the parable of the story of the talents. When my people took it paper with no margin, turning ghettos to gardens. Like Ron Finley, through stages of life, the world's my Wembley. I MC from the point of entry of peace. Some find it don't do the paper routing, and some find they peace through praise and shouting, and some find they peace through pulling the shade like Malcolm. I found my peace making these albums. Peace.
We don't really want no trouble. Tell me if you're down with the struggle. All they really wanna do is cuff you. They don't love you. No. Say peace. We don't really want no trouble. Tell me if you're down with the struggle. All they really wanna do is cuff you. They don't love you.
In dystopia, ground zero for xenophobia. They love to trope me or misquote me. They even wrote me out of all accounts, other than show them in small amounts till I called them out. I'm what the story is all about. My arrival wasn't willingly none, but that's chillingly the truth. Now I fear for shots from cops killing me. They on a hunt for the plug, and we the auxiliary, the black power and love. I'm all the above, but find peace in the culture I'm responsible to save. In every piece of the puzzle, every article, the page. I'm at peace in the struggle, I'm awake and not afraid. While I'm channeling my energy from particle to wave at peace. Like Mandela seated on Robin Island. Wise like a prophet arriving from the highlands. Look, I'm not here for any kind of problem. Keep me out of your gossip column. Thank you, I'm calm and tranquil. At the time and place to I shine. Word to God, I'm divine and graceful. The grind could break you. If you concentrate, you can find your faith where the higher conscience takes you. That's peace.
We don't really want no trouble. Tell me if you're down with the struggle. All they really wanna do is cuff you. They don't love you. No. Say peace. We don't really want no trouble. Tell me if you're down with the struggle. All they really wanna do is cuff you. They don't love you.
Say we not lost. We say we dey on the right path. Big life only, liberty, freedom. Oh, you mean? Tell me what they're fighting for. The people under pressure. Tell me what they're fighting for. To be Charlie youngster. Tell me what they're fighting for. I know your mother and father. Tell me what they're fighting for. Tell me what they're fighting for.
Understand what black is. It is a source from which all things come, a security blanket for the stars. Understand what black is. It is not a color. It is the basis of all colors. It is not a complexion. It is the reflection of all complexions called human. Understand what black is. And from this blackness, passion flows like a river. Feelings tell the truth. Song and dance and making you laugh are family members. Understand what black is. The breath you breathe, the sweat on your brow, the tears and the cheers, balancing the world on your head. Faith is the glue that holds it all together. Understand what black is. It is not some horror story. Lost souls drifting in a land of perversion. Blackness is love. Is a light shining on a path leading to the sun, or caressed in the bosom of the moon. yield to. A force so strong, you try to sleep it away. A jolt to your circuits and say you must be electric and plugged into the sockets of the world. Understand what black is. Black is humanity. That beautiful chord on a 12-string guitar.
Understand me.
Brings comfort.
Understand
in turbulent times.
Understand me.
Food.
Understand you.
When there's nothing to
Understand
eat.
Me.
Shelter.
Understand you.
When there's nowhere to live.
Understand me.
Making hope to stand tall and not broke. Black knows. Did it before. Tried by fire and washed in the waters of life. Understand what black is. Black is hot. Black is cool. Black is wise. And can never be a fool. Black is hot. Black is cool. Black is wise. And could never be a fool. Understand. Black is a hero. Not a villain. The essence. Sealed with a kiss. The stone we build our homes upon. The shadow and evening's mist. Understand what black is. Bigger than reality. Blending in with the night. To let the sun chill. And watch the stars dance. In rhythm. To the music in our souls. Understand me, understand you, understand me, understand you, understand me, understand you, understand what black is. Understand me, understand me, understand.
Where there's something for everyone 24 hours a day. If you're into jazz, DJ sets, talk shows, and sports, look no further than WMEG. For the best in rock, country, hip-hop, or pop, rhythm, and blues, we've got your genre at WMEG. Where there's something for everyone.
Cafe Blue, Newark, Delaware's best kept secret, located at 140 Songsmith Drive, where the grown folks come to play. We're open every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings, 6 p.m. to 1 a.m., with the best soul food Newark, Delaware has to offer. Great drinks with an even better atmosphere. This is where you want to be. The turn up is real. Each and every Friday with the live broadcast from WMEG Radio, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. with your favorite DJ, Mr. Get It Done, DJ Rock Night. So be sure to check out Newark, Delaware's best kept secret, Cafe Blue, where the grown folks come to play. 140 Songsmith Drive. For more info, call 302-365-5286. Again, that's 302-365-5286. See you there. See you there. See you there. See you there. See you there.
This is your boy, DJ Dice, on WMEG. Every Friday at 5. For the live at 5 happy hour mix to get your weekend started. Be there with your cigars and with your favorite drinks and be prepared to take that ride. DJ Dice on WMEG. Every Friday at 5.
The all-new WMEG Radio.
And we're back, listening audience. Welcome back to King Street. I'm your host, King. And that was our second musical break. And we had the songs by Common, which was Say Peace. And our third song, the other song was The Last Poets. And You Don't Know What the Real Black Is. So, again, we want to keep songs that's relevant to the content of the message. And like I said, we sit here building with Dr. Doswell. And we're going to talk about, on the other side, we're going to get back with Dr. Doswell. We got to get into the wake up. But the wake up is going to talk about what we're going to build with, or what we're going to build with Dr. Doswell on the other side of the wake up. So DJ Rock, why don't you walk us into the wake up right now?
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. This is the wake up. Today's wake up is going to focus on the importance of mentorship and us as adults who've made success in their lives to reach back and help educate the youth. And to that point, what I want to do right now is highlight what Dr. Doswell is doing and give him a moment to speak on this with the JUICE Network, which stands for Juxtapovian Urban Innovation Cooperative Entrepreneurship Network, and how he's working with youth to help get them involved in STEM training and help them to build businesses. So Dr. Doswell, let's talk a little bit about the JUICE Network and your work around mentorship with young men and women. I'm sorry.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for the introduction, King, to the JUICE Network and the Juxtapovian Engineers in Training, i.e. JETS, Jet Apprentices. So the JUICE Network was created. Again, the problem we find in the African American community is that we have some extremely intelligent and creative people within our culture that can't find money to innovate their ideas and commercialize them into the target marketplace, like the Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Steve Jobs, Apple, Microsoft, Bill Gates. And so on and so on, from Facebook to Tesla or PayPal, those founders getting billions of dollars for their innovations, just for a concept or an idea, where we have to go to family and friends that we really don't have to give us the money, or scrape and crawl in order to get a penny for some of our ideas that then never make it to marketplace. So the Juice Network was created under our 501c3 public charitable organization called the Juxtopia Group, accessible by going to the website juicenetwork.org. And it's a network of individuals and companies that are innovators, entrepreneurs, many historically black colleges, universities, minority serving institutions like Hispanic serving institutions and tribal colleges that network with one another to innovate and commercialize high-tech, high-growth products. In the Juice Network, the goal is for every member to generate at least $1 billion in gross revenue. If there are 1,000 members in the Juice Network, then that's $1 trillion in economic power. And then collectively, having that type of economic power wielded and focused like a laser in a very strategic and tactical way, then there's a lot, like Martin Luther King said, that we can achieve. So it's a testament to, and almost building upon his speech before he was murdered, and building something that really is tangible for our community to significantly gain and sustain wealth.
Absolutely. And see, this is why when we truly understand your history and your culture, and you use it as a vehicle for inspiration and as a resource to reach back into, it helps you understand the importance, the role that you play in this timeline, that you weren't created just for you to come along and get your successes out of life, but you were created so that you can play an integral role in the development of our people. And we're picking up the batons from the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Malcolm X's, the Mary Baracas, and we're moving it forth. We're the next generation. We're going to continue to pass the baton on through the training and the educating and the mentoring of these young youth out here. So you're doing great work with Juxtopia, and you're doing great work with the Juice Network, and we're going to continue to build with you in that space. But right now, what I want to do is I want to kind of shift our focus, because we've been talking a lot about your successes. Mm-hmm. And right now I kind of want to go back to a little bit about your upbringing. You know, so folks can kind of relate to who you are as an individual and not see you as some person that outlier that they can't connect with or relate with. I want them to understand who you are by being a Baltimore City resident. Right. So with that being said, what was a neighborhood? You grew up in Baltimore City.
A
Neighborhood.
Oh, neighborhood. Well, when I was born in Baltimore on Biddle Street, so that was my very first house. I don't remember it too well because I was very, very young. And then 33rd in the Alameda was where I grew up. So around Alameda, Windermere, Lakeside, those areas.
Okay.
Where Mergenthaler was around the corner and Baltimore City High School was up the street. When my parents split, then I still would go visit my father over on 33rd in the Alameda. And then my mother moved me over to Ashburn, Liberty Heights, and Hilton. And so so I would claim both sides of Baltimore, both east and west.
And where did you go to high school, which is always a Baltimore question?
The best high school in the United States. No, I'm just joking. It's Baltimore City High School.
Okay.
Yeah, only because it was close to where my father lived.
Okay.
Yeah, I got accepted to both Poly and City, but geographically it was close to my father, so after school I could just walk to his house.
Okay.
That was the decision that was made then. But I like both schools equally.
Now, DJ Rock, you said what was that about? I heard some.
Well, of course, by looking at the sweatshirt I have on, you know I'm a proud product of Emerson High School. But I can't say anything about Baltimore City College. Baltimore City College sent 2 of my kids, one to Morehouse and one to Spelman.
Wow.
So I have absolutely nothing negative to say about Baltimore City College. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart, King. They truly sent my kids there. My kids was well prepared. I didn't have to do anything for the whole college acceptance process. They had counselors in position from freshman year that prepared these kids. So when senior year came, it was just a formality of just doing whatever you had to do. So I have nothing negative to say about Baltimore City College.
And they went to Morehouse.
I have a son that just finished at Morehouse, and my daughter's a sophomore. She's going to be a second semester sophomore at Spelman.
Excellent.
Yes. And you guess how much it cost me for them to go there?
How much? That is amazing.
We ain't gonna put our personal business out on the air.
City Nights.
Yes, City did it. City did it. I have no complaints, none whatsoever. I refuse to say anything negative, and I'm gonna punch anybody in the face to say anything negative.
Right.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
King.
No problem. No problem. Now, one of the things I want to ask you is this: that I've met a lot of folks here in Baltimore City, and one of the things that really I found to be such a shocker to me was that majority of the first people I met here in Baltimore City, anybody that was over the age of, I would say, 40 years old, under the age of 40, let me say that way, they fell into this category where either their a sibling has died or gone to prison or on drugs, right? That would seem to be a common theme. Everybody I met. And that blew my mind because even from St. Louis, where, growing up in St. Louis, most black communities suffer from that. But it was like a 1 in 10 type statistic, right?
Oh, wow.
Where when I came to Baltimore, it was like a 1-to-1. Like everybody I met had some form of siblings that had either passed away or on drugs or in prison, or a combination of all three. So my question for you, with Baltimore, and it's been proven through books from Not in My Neighborhood to Baltimore City to all the other books that's written about Baltimore City. So this is factual, not my opinion, that the environment was created for blacks not to be successful. The system was created for you to fail, for you to go to prison, for you to do drugs. So my question for you is, how did you avoid and navigate your way through that kind of systemic chaos that was created for you to fail?
That's a good question. I'm the only child, so I guess it was easier for my parents to manage me, even though on the weekends, so West Side, Ashburn, there wasn't much to get in trouble with, right? Very isolated neighborhood. On the east side, though, where 33rd and the Alameda is, there's a lot of other neighborhoods surrounding that, like Northwood Shopping Center and those areas that you could really get in trouble. And some of my friends growing up, I mean, they were more adventurous than I was. I'll leave it like that. I think the way I avoided that, or my parents helped me to avoid it, is my mother always had me in extracurricular activities, such as violin and piano. So on Saturdays, even though I'll be over at my dad's house, I would have to, get up early in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then go to orchestra practice from 9 to 12, for example. Or I was always into something that occupied my brain. However, because public transportation, in Baltimore, there was no such thing for me taking the cheese bus. You always took public transportation to go to school, from middle school to high school, and going through neighborhoods, a lot of times, it can get into trouble. And so that's when I took up martial arts, so no one could take my violin, and then I could defend myself.
The secret comes out, King.
Yep. So Taekwondo was my sport that I competed in for years. But then I had a neighbor, so I had I was being the only child. Your friends become your brothers or your sisters. So there's a guy named Brian Nichols on the east side of Baltimore. He was like a big brother to me in a way, and highly educated, extremely intelligent, 2-parent household. And his parents are still together, but he didn't get into trouble too much during when we were growing up. However, he did kind of snap when he got older in 2004 and killed a judge in his quarters. And we're trained the same way in martial arts, so I knew Brian like he's a brother to me. He's still in jail, so. There's really, what you said is very, what do you call it? It's very correct. The system is not designed, especially for black men, to succeed. And if you get to a level where we're achieving a significant amount, a level, whatever it is, that we can potentially generate a significant amount of wealth, oftentimes we're targeted. And I know Brian growing up, most likely he just found himself in a real dire situation. There's a movie about him called Captive, and there's a couple books about him as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the movie called Captive that came out a while ago, maybe about 6-7 years ago. That was about that situation. Yeah, Brian Nichols.
And so your parents were definitely instrumental in you creating that foundation for you to make the right decisions, right?
Oh, absolutely. So my father, he was a history major at Morgan State University. He went to Howard University as well for his master's in social work. And then he pursued his PhD but didn't finish. And he taught at Sir Jordan Douglas High School for a while. So he always imparted understanding of Afro-American culture, African culture, like Hannibal the Great. He gave me a book and it had Hannibal the Great in the book. And I'm a teenager at that time, and I'm imagining a 26-year-old Hannibal the Great getting to the gates of Rome with some elephants, and I'm visualizing this in my mind. I'm like, that's a bad brother.
Right.
Getting to the gates of Rome as a black man, 26 years old, with a column of 40,000 troops to the gates of Rome. I thought that was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so those gave me meta-cognitive models of if Hannibal the Great could do it, and he could do this without the internet and his leadership capability, then I can do this too. And those were the type of inspirational models for me. So my parents were definitely role models for that.
Now, how important, and I know I'm going to ask this question in this context because I know for me, isolation, being able to kind of be alone a lot has helped me become the person I am. I didn't have a lot of peer influence because I'm an introvert, did a lot of reading coming up. My parents stood that foundation in me. But as I got into my 20s and 30s, I really spent those years really alone, studying and building myself up. So my question for you is, how important do you see isolation or being able to be alone with building a successful career?
Well, I was pretty... my friends would consider me kind of eccentric when I was growing up, so I had no choice but to be alone, but with a handful of friends. I read about William James Sidis. He happened to be the smartest person in the entire world with an IQ of 400. He was ostracized by he was teaching, I guess, mathematics at a very early age, let's say around 18 or 19 at the college level. So, of course, the students at that time kind of forced him out. And so at that point, he wanted to be isolated and never even think about mathematics. And the sight of mathematics apparently made him sick. And then fast forward, he died at age 43, alone and without money. Same thing with Tesla, So I really, because of my activities that I was in, like playing concert piano at 4, I started training in violin at age 6. I was first chair violin in my youth orchestra at 14 and 15. Played the Apollo, won first place when I was 15. So I had that type of life, and then I'd like to learn. And then my parents, of course, my mother, she sings opera herself, so I was really thrown into that music world, and then expected to study, and and she was always like, grammar queen. So I always had to be the best of the best in her presence because she was monitoring everything I did. So many of my colleagues or friends weren't like that, except for just a few of them that I used to hang out with on a daily basis. So I spent a lot of time alone, growing up. And even now, I spend most of my days, if I don't hang out with a lot of people, I usually hang out by myself.
Absolutely. I know what you were saying with that. I know what you mean, I should say, with that, because there's an expression that says, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Mm-hmm. And, most of the leaders who I study and I'm admired by, they are always mostly alone. Mm-hmm. Because when you're a leader and you really somebody who's driven by a higher purpose, and that's pretty much is integrated in who you are as your identity now, it's hard to really communicate with a lot of other folks who don't think that way.
Right.
Who think that because it's 5 o'clock that you're off work and that it's time to go drink or it's time to just relax and watch the football games. Mm-hmm. And at least speaking from my perspective, in my mind, it's like, as an entrepreneur, I tell folks we don't get days off, we get hours off. Right. And even when I'm off work, I'm still processing things in my head. I have yet to let that go where I can just detach myself. I'm working on that. So now with that being said, I'm kind of now want to shift into some more real estate related type questions. Yep. So very recently, you and I began to work together on some things. So what is your vision? What would you like to see real estate related wise as far as Baltimore City is concerned?
Focus on lower income, underserved and disadvantaged populations in Baltimore, renovating the vacant and abandoned properties so they are high quality residential properties for community members, and then within those communities, high paying jobs so that community members don't have to bus too far to go to their work, spend so much time away from their children or family members. Hospital or healthcare environments right there in the same neighborhood that are also high quality, eliminating the food insecurity and food, quote unquote, food deserts with affordable and accessible healthy foods to sustain the health and nutrition of our population, and have a really sustaining and vibrant community that supports the growth and also facilitates interconnection with community members and a sense of pride within our culture. That's what I would really like to see as a vision for Baltimore communities, and the real estate is part of that.
Absolutely. Now, I know we don't want to share too much information for proprietary reasons, but would you say that the Baltimore row house kind of fits an ideal model of redevelopment as far as some of the things that you want to do from a technology standpoint, as we're talking about integrating technology now into real estate development as well?
And I think COVID has really shown us a lot where we can go with that. So the house should support your health. The house should support, a place where you can work and not leave the house and still generate revenue as an extension of your office space, an extension of the hospital, an extension of leisure, and also extension of education right there within the home environment. A lot of people talk about it, of how it can be done, and the technology is here, can be improved. So I know in Juxtopia, we've talked about it before. We're prototyping things, and what's most important is for it to be culturally centered to the culture, to the community, to the ethnicity of the family that's living in the home.
Absolutely.
So that's really niche, and we're at that point where this can be achieved. Absolutely. Within the roundtable, we build on the ability to collaborate, because Baltimore City again provides so many blighted properties on one block that you approach a block and you see a block that has 32 houses on that block. I'm talking about road houses, and it's 16 on each side. And again, I'm talking about a given city block here in Baltimore City. And of that, 40% might be blighted. Blighted meaning that they're sunroofs, falling down, vacant properties. Well, the goal would be that the team would come in and buy up all those properties in that block. So not one person is buying it alone. Everyone's buying it. And then while everyone's buying it, we're renovating it. We're always promoting home ownership so that we never want to be long-term rentals. And the reason I'm stressing this on the show is because
one of the things I hear people constantly talking about is Baltimore City is a great city for rentals, and people always try to get folks to come here and buy properties to create more rentals. And what folks don't realize, in certain neighborhoods like Upton, the neighborhood, it's 80% rentals as it is. So the last thing that community wants is someone coming in and building more rental property, right? Because as homeowners, we don't want to live around rental properties because rentals have a different way they view their properties than most homeowners do, typically. I'm saying all that to set the context that my next question for you would be this. What advice or what are your thoughts about folks interested in getting into real estate as a business? What would you caution them with, or what would you suggest they do, or would you advise they even get into that space?
My father and I talk about that because Cosby, Doswell, in Blackstone, Virginia, that's not too far away from where we go to Kings Dominion, in Doswell, Virginia, was the largest landowner in Blackstone, Virginia. So we have a kind of like a family history on property ownership. And my father, at one time, after he came back from fighting in the United States Army, he had about 12 properties in Baltimore. He's also born and raised in Baltimore. Loves Baltimore. Lafayette Projects guy, right? And he does real estate a lot better than I do. That's his niche. He knows, he has a knack for it. I would say property wealth is great wealth. I mean, because it's something you own. There are only 3 types of property in the United States that you can own, or property wealth: 401k, real estate, and patents. We're already in the world of intellectual property, but intellectual property, like a patent, only lasts about 25 years before it goes generic. Like a generic drug, it used to be a patented drug, and now it's gone generic, so it's lost its value. Property, you can keep it, and it can still maintain the value as long as the surrounding community, of course, and the other assets around the community are maintained. But one thing about property or land, it's a commodity that once you let it go, you may not ever get it again.
Right.
So it's great property wealth to have. And if you can imagine, if you have a whole repository of properties, those are assets that can also be liquidated into liquid, cash. You own it.
Absolutely.
So I think real estate for anybody is it's a great investment, and it's better than, in my opinion, a 401k because it is fluctuating. You don't own the 401k really. You own, but someone's managing that for you. So you may be so far away from it if you've invested in it, and it's long-term growth. I remember I bought a house in Alexandria, Virginia, for about $364 in 2000 something, and then flipped it in 2000. It was 2002. Flipped it in 2004 or something like that, and made $575,000 right before the crash. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I never made that yield. I never made any type of yield like that ever again.
Right.
Now, that was just from a buying and selling perspective, and not holding on as a cash asset, because, of course, the value has significantly increased since then. Right. In Kingstown, Virginia. But that's the value of property.
Exactly. And that's why I tell folks, you really want to understand the 3 key areas that they create legislation to bar us against since we've been in this country. Now we voluntarily give up these rights ourselves, is reading, voting, and home ownership. Right? They didn't want us to have the ability to do any of those 3 things. They know that those things are transformational for us. Right? And now, with that being said, here's an interesting question I want to ask you. With you having such a strong academic record, where do you sit on the side of the great debate between W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, with the Booker T. advocating for learn a skill, learn a trade as a way of us getting our freedom, and W.B. Du Bois obviously advocating for education as a source for us getting our freedom? Where do you sit on that side, in that space?
It's a great question. I guess the way I would answer that question, King, and I haven't had time to really think about, I'm not prompted with that question at all, but this is a great question, because I think about this from time to time. it's almost analogous to, a black family can send their child and what do you call it, and try to protect that child from the streets of Baltimore continuously until that child leaves the nest. That child is going to grow up like the talented 10th, W.E.B. Du Bois, right? But then that child may not have the necessary skills to survive in life.
Right.
Like the grit, the fight, the ability to aggress when necessary, or to acquiesce or abscond if necessary. But doesn't know the pattern of those type of conflict resolution as you would get in the street very fast or in business dealings. I think there's an element required of both. Like W.E.B. Du Bois talked about the talented 10th of getting of leadership being those that are intellectually, quote unquote, gifted or at the top, or they've gotten their letters behind their name, what have you. And also the Booker T of pull up your sleeves, go to work, gain some skills, and generate and have those skills translate into cash flow. Being a PhD, I can't just be a PhD and say that's it. I never wanted to be that one to say that's it, go to a university and then go there until I retire. That wasn't necessarily my thing, but the ability to utilize that as a tool, the knowledge that I've acquired, and then build things that had never been built before to benefit human beings, and then have the grit enough to compete with all my competition and win. And so that's a combination of both of those principles from W.E.B. Du Bois: the intellectual acumen, the ability to weaponize my IQ, if I could say that, and then also Booker T. Washington develop a skill, software engineering, programming. Engineering is my skill that then I can utilize to generate cash flow. So I believe both principles are necessary.
Absolutely. I concur. I think that a lot of folks, which I could understand even back then, why you had to choose. Why not do both? Right. To your point. That's why I say, if you look at Booker T. Washington's life, I mean, a man, he built an institution, a college. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But what I love about that in his story, and that's why I tell folks the importance of studying our history, is that he did not let, and this is what you say constantly, he did not let anything as an obstacle stop him. They said we ran out of bricks. Well, hell, we're gonna make our own bricks. Now, who thinks that way, right? We're gonna make our own bricks, right? And folks are like, well, how do we make bricks? We're gonna figure it out, right? That's who we come from. We come from that type of pedigree, and for me, that's what instills that pride in me that lets me know that anything's possible. When I read about Harriet Tubman making 389 trips on the Underground Railroad and never ever getting caught. And they had the best slave, and this is what people don't realize, they're the best slave catchers that money can buy. So it wasn't like they just passively let her just walk in, take people off, and she was off the, walking. They brought in the best slave catcher bounty hunters, pre-police that they can buy, and they still could not catch her.
And they had a mark on her back, because if they caught her, they would have killed her.
Exactly.
Right.
And she carried that shotgun, saying that, a lot of folks thought that the shotgun was for the slave catchers. No, she said the shotgun was for the slaves who changed their mind on the way of getting on this journey. If you wanted to go back, you was getting shot.
Right.
Because you was going to go back and tell, right? She was that committed. And see, that's the type of folks we look to build with within the round table.
I went to Oberlin College, last stop of the Underground Railroad.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the reason?
That's one of the reasons.
That's what's up. So we're going to go into our third musical break, but DJ Rock, we're only going to play one song from that just because we're running short on time. I don't know which one you got queued, but either one you want to play, we'll do that, because then I want to get into some of the black engineers you're working with and talk about some of the work you're doing with them. Then we get ready to close things out on that.
So ready.
journey up. But see the morning sun on the hillside, not living good. Travel wide, said I'm a living man. I've got work to do. If you're not happy, you must be blue. I'm a rebel, soul rebel. I'm a capturer, soul adventurer. Do you hear me? I'm a rebel, rebel in the morning. Soul rebel, a rebel at midday time.
The all new WMEG Radio.
And we're back, listening audience. We cut our third musical break short because the information, the conversation we have with Dr. Doswell is too critical and too important. I want to make sure we get certain things stated that we haven't talked about yet, and definitely got to have him back on the show for another session. But what I want you to, Dr. Doswell, get the opportunity to talk about some of the youth that you're working with and some of the projects and some of the neighborhoods they come from.
Sure. So the youth, my apprenticeship program, Juxtopia Engineers in Training. We have jets coming from Emerson West Side, Park Heights, your Pimlico neighborhoods, and the projects that they're working on. And so I have to say that I train, the jet apprenticeship program enrolls and starts training these Baltimore youth starting at age 13 or 14. And they pick the skill, the engineering skill set on which they would like to focus. And then they're immediately, after they've learned the fundamentals, put on a real-world project. The pedagogy there is called problem-based learning. We call it product-based learning because the jets are working on a real product, reinforcing their skills so they can either work at one of the companies that we've created within the Juxtopia Urban Innovation and Cooperative Entrepreneurship Network, the JUICE Network, or go to and take the lead at certain jobs like maybe in Microsoft, Google, but not just get in the door like it's integration, but go in there and take the lead. And that's how we train them to do.
Absolutely. Creating leaders.
Creating leaders, engineering leaders, and entrepreneurial leaders as well, because they learn both type of skill sets.
And as we get near the top of the hour, I want to ask you, you've had a lot of accomplishments in your life. Mm-hmm. What would you say is one of the most significant one to you that you would say, here's one I'm most proud of? What would that be?
I think I'm most proud of, I think it's always improving, but finding a current way of training, black youth, both men and women, how to build their confidence and self-esteem and their engineering skill sets so they can secure gainful employment, not just getting in the door, but really family life-changing type of skills so they can, they never even have to even sense poverty if they had before ever again. And I think that's one of the achievements that I'm most proud of. I mean, I've done the academic thing and run a company, CEO, president, but being able to transform the lives of the next generation is one that I'm continuously proud of myself for doing, and moreover, building them and the youth, these jet apprentices, so they can far exceed both my expectation and what I've accomplished at even an earlier age.
Absolutely. And another question I want to ask you is, by being a Baltimorean, what would you say is, and I know the city has a lot of issues, a lot of challenges, right? Education, food deserts, violence, drugs, jobs. But what would you say if you were elected mayor, let's just make this hypothetical question, and you have 4 years, what of those would you focus on that you felt would have the most significant impact that needs to happen right now?
I would focus on equitable economics and the foundation to foster equitable economics. And equitable economics meaning fostering the necessary environment that's conducive for building the skill set of underserved and disadvantaged populations living in Baltimore at a level where employment could be gained or cash flow that's legit, that competes against some of the illegal cash flow, where there's no need for that anymore because there wouldn't be any value for that in comparison to what one could achieve with we call education, for example, and then exposure of of people like you, King, and other people that you have in the show that are doing extraordinary things that a lot of our children don't ever get a chance to see because they're not exposed. They don't know what they can do, and they're seeing TV of athletes and entertainers, and they think that's the only way out. Where there's so many ways out that even get to that type of lifestyle that those children want to get to. So, I mean, I would focus on that, the equitable economics and the path to get there. And you see some of these other ancillary ills that we have in our city, like violence, food insecurity, health disparities, go by the wayside gradually because there's enough money that communities have where the other activities and then the consequences will cease to exist.
Absolutely. Now, one last thing, and we're going to have you on the show again to really build on this in more detail, but I just kind of want you to touch on it right now. I know one of the services that Juxtopia provides is helping going for non-debt financing.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about those services that you provide, and then I want you to lead into your contact information after that so folks can get in contact with you.
Yeah, non-debt financing very important when it comes to equitable economics. So the Small Business Innovative Research Program, called an SBIR for Small Business Innovative Research, was established in 1982 by Ronald Reagan when we had a recession in the 80s. And the goal, that was the problem, recession, 80s, solution, more companies have to be, small companies have to be created to create more jobs to spur the economy or ignite the economy again. And so the SBIR program was legislated under the Small Business Administration, and that is a non-debt and non-diluted financial or funding mechanism for high-tech, high-growth businesses. Many federal government agencies participate, including but not limited to the National Science Foundation, Department of Defense, NASA, National Institutes of Health, USDA, EPA, Department of Transportation, and Department of Commerce with NIST. And so these agencies have these funds, like NIH, for, let's say, a 6-month effort. You can secure up to $252,000 based on an idea, non-debt, non-diluted. And then if you successfully achieve the first phase, you can submit a proposal to secure up to $1.6 million. I have most of the clients from the Juice Network that I serve through the Juice Money program are minority companies, but then I have waiver companies as well that are not minority, working with Columbia University and another company spin-out, or Cleveland Clinic. I'm writing a SBIR for them. We've written many for Johns Hopkins University research professors. But that's how we started. We started off with an STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer Research Grant, where a minority company partners up with an institution, a university, or a college to collectively and collaboratively create an innovation to tech transfer from the walls of an institution into the commercial marketplace. So there we've worked with Morgan State University, securing their very first NIH STTR and their very first company spin-out, and at that time their 150-year history. They had never created a company before and spun it out. And so the Juice Network special team got together and spun out the very first company called iCrystal, securing their very first NIH Small Business Technology Transfer and Research grant, focusing on protein crystallization to crystallize the amyloid proteins found in Alzheimer's patients. So that made history, and we have a list. We have about 23 companies, including your organization, within the Juice Network.
Absolutely. And why don't you share your contact information with our listening audience so they can get more information about you and the Juice Network and the projects you're working on?
Yes, so my name is Dr. Jayfus Tucker Doswell. The best way of reaching me is my email address at jayfus@juxtopia.com. And if you want to learn more about the Juice Network and how you can build your idea concept into a commercialized venture with non-debt, non-diluted financing, please go to juicenetwork.org. That's again, juicenetwork.org.
All right. Any words of wisdom you want to, last words of wisdom you want to leave with our listening audience? Anything that's on your spirit at all that you want to share?
Sure. Be strong. We're not here to play Dream or Drift. We have hard work to do and heavy loads to lift. Shun not the struggle, for it is God's gift. Be strong.
Absolutely. And as we get ready to wrap up the show, I want to say, if you're interested in what the Roundtable's building, you want more information, of course, go to our website at consciousrt.com. That's CONSCIOUS, R as in round, T as in table.com. Look for us on Facebook at Conscious Roundtable. But again, only if you got that higher purpose mindset, if you're ready to roll your sleeves up and get to work, if you want to make a difference, stop talking from the victim mentality, but look from the leader mentality, then we can build. Last thing I want to say is I want to again thank Dr. Doswell for being on the show today. Look forward to building with him in the future. We're going to be doing some great projects together in a collaborative sense. I want to again thank WMEG for producing this show. And then as I close out, I want to leave you all with my wish for you, which is comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to fall to clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when your spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, and love to complete your life. This has been King Street. I want everyone out there to continue to be more conscious during the holidays. DJ Rock, I'm out.
King Street. Great day. King Street. Great day. King Street. Great day. King Street.
Here's some of the very important. What radio stations you listen to? Conscious Capitalist.
King Street. Great day. King Street.
Your fundamental principle. Have a higher purpose, orientation, conscious leadership, conscious culture.
Don't come to Baltimore City to invest. You're not willing to have the neighborhood transform.